Hi folks, it's Richard from Inclusive Driving again here. Have you ever wondered what the rev counter means in your car? In this video, we'll delve into that a little bit deeper. Hi folks, so today's video we're going to go into a bit more detail into the use of gears and how gear relates to both car speed, that's the speed you're doing along the road, 20 miles an hour, 30 miles an hour, 40 miles an hour, and engine speed, that is the number of revs per minute, revolutions per minute that the engine is having to do in that gear to make the car do that road speed. Now this dial here on the left, the rev counter, sometimes called a tachometer, as we press the gas pedal to make the engine go faster, we can see that the number of revs per minute is rising, and down here in the corner it says RPM times 1000. So whatever number we see on the rev counter, we multiply by 1000 to get the number of revs per minute. So at the moment, with my engine switched on but without my foot on the gas, we're at idle speed, which is about 750 revs per minute. It's less than 1000. As I press my foot on the gas pedal, we reach 1000, 1250, 1500, 1750, 2000, 2250, etc., up to 3000 and even more, 4000 coming up. There we go. You can also hear the engine noise rising, low up to high, as the engine revs increase. Now the aim of driving in a fuel efficient manner is to keep the engine revs quite low. So that means that as we go faster along the road, as our road speed increases, we're going to change to a higher gear so that we can achieve that speed with fewer revs of the engine. So what we're going to do is we're going to set the speed limiter on this car so that I can drive along the road initially at exactly 20 miles an hour. We may even use cruise control at some of the higher speeds, but we're going to keep our road speed absolutely steady at 20 miles an hour. And I'm going to drive in different gears. So I'm going to drive in first gear at 20 miles an hour. It'll sound a bit nasty. Second gear, third gear, we might try fourth gear, but it probably won't like it because the revs might get too low, but we'll explain that when we come to it. This car is equipped with a diesel engine. Diesel engines like to work somewhere between 1000 and a bit and about 2000 and a bit. So somewhere from about there up to no more than about there for best fuel economy. If we go higher than that on the rev counter, the car will still move, we'll still drive down the road safely, but we'll be using a lot more fuel. This is the key. As our revs increase, we're sending more fuel to the engine to make the engine go faster to achieve that number of revs. So I think this will make more sense as we drive along and you can see the speed that we're achieving. So I'm going to be flicking between digital speed readout just so it's easy for you to see. We've also got the speedometer on the right, but I'll also sometimes flick onto instantaneous fuel usage, which is this figure with the petrol pump on the right. At the moment it's reading out in gallons per hour. That's just because I'm not moving. When I start moving, it will give me a readout in miles per gallon. The modern equivalent of that is litres per 100 kilometres, but I'm a bit of an old-fashioned person. I tend to think in terms of miles per gallon. The figure on the left, where it's currently got 2 hyphens. That's going to just show us our average fuel consumption for this journey. So I've reset all the values, so we'll see how that value changes with time and how it changes with aggressive driving and more careful driving. So first of all, let's just set the speed limit to 20 miles an hour and off we go. So I've got a road speed of about 20 miles an hour. You can see that in first gear I'm having to do 3,250 revs a minute to achieve that. You can hear the engine noise is high, so both of those, the noise and the rev counter, is telling me that I'm using a lot of fuel. Okay, we're going to go straight on at these traffic lights and we'll get up to 20 miles an hour, but this time we'll change into second gear somewhere around 10 to 12 miles an hour, so that we're doing 20 miles an hour in second gear. And we'll listen to the engine noise and look at the rev counter. So here comes second gear. Okay, 20 miles an hour road speed. My revs are now about 1,750 compared to 3,000 and something. So let's go around these couple of bends and then we'll possibly change to third gear at 20 miles an hour. Okay, so a fairly straightish road. So we're currently in second gear at 20 miles an hour. Let's change it to third gear, just above 1,000. Now I'm going to increase my speed to a more realistic 30 miles an hour, just because I have got some traffic behind me now, and this is a 30 road. So here is 30 miles an hour in third gear. So our revs are just above 1,500. Let's change down to second gear and still do 30 miles an hour. You can see that the revs are now 2,750-ish, so we're using a lot more fuel. To go back to third gear, our revs have dropped, the engine is quieter. Let's see what these traffic lights do. Just ready to stop. We're through the lights. Okay, so I'm still doing 30 miles an hour in third gear, just above 1,500 revs. I'm going to change to fourth gear. Our revs are now just above 1,000, 1,200, something like that, and we're still doing 30 miles an hour. So we're saving a lot of fuel by using fourth gear. We'll go straight on at these lights and we'll demonstrate what would happen if we tried to use fifth gear at 30 miles an hour. Have a look at the idle speed at the moment, about 750 revs a minute. That is the absolute lowest that this engine can do without stalling. Now we saw that in fourth gear at 30 miles an hour our revs were just above 1,000. Let's pop it, let's get up to 30 miles an hour, pop it into fifth gear. It won't like it. See, our revs are now just below 1,000 and the display is actually telling me ideally I should be changing to fourth. Let's try sixth gear. Okay, it does just about like it because we're going down a hill at the moment, but again the display is saying you're in the wrong gear, change it. I'll change it to fifth. It'll probably say change it to fourth. Let's change it to fourth. And it's okay, we've got a happy engine now. Okay, so let's go and find a road where we can do 40 miles an hour and we'll look at the use of gears in some higher speeds. there are several ways to help this channel. Like this video so that it gets shown to other people. Share it with your friends on social media to make sure that they see it. And most of all, subscribe to the channel to show your ongoing support and help me keep creating new content. Okay, so let's look at the fuel readouts in those different gears. So let's do 30 miles an hour in second gear. And it's saying we're using 35 miles to the gallon. Let's change to third gear. We're now getting more like 57 miles to the gallon. Let's change to fourth gear. We're now getting more like 75 miles to the gallon. Admittedly, we were on a slight downhill, but now we're going up a slight uphill. So just to compare, 60 to 70 miles to the gallon compared to third gear, where we were only getting 20 to 30. Okay, on the other side of this roundabout we'll be able to increase our speed to 40 miles an hour, so we'll look at some higher speeds and associated gears. We're currently in second gear. Still in a 30 mile an hour limit at the moment, but once we reach 40 we'll increase our speed if it's safe. I'm going to increase my speed limiter to allow me to do 40. I'm currently in third gear. Can't do much at the moment with a red traffic light in front of me. I'm in third gear. Let's try and speed up to 40 miles an hour. We're having to do 2,250 revs to reach 40 miles an hour. Just letting the car ahead of me give me more distance. I'm not going to increase my speed anymore until we're on the other side of this big roundabout. So currently in third gear. Let's get ourselves up to 40 miles an hour again. So engine revs of about 2,250, giving us about 64 miles to the gallon at the moment. We are going down a slight hill. Let's change to fourth gear. The engine noise and the engine revs can now drop to just above 1,500. Let's change to fifth gear. Engine revs have dropped more to more like 1,250, slightly more. Okay, let's look at 50 miles an hour on the other side of this bridge when the speed limit increases. Remember, I'm currently in fifth gear. It's increased to 50. Engine speed of just above 1,500. Change to sixth gear. We can drop to 1,500 just below. We've got two small roundabouts. We'll go ahead and then we'll do some more observation on our speeding and gear and engine revs. look at 60 miles an hour. Okay, third gear at 60 miles an hour gives us quite a very high engine speed, 3,500. Fourth gear allows us to drop to 2,500. Fifth gear about 2,000, and sixth gear at 1,750. Let's switch to the fuel economy readout. So I'm currently in second gear. I'm going to approach 60 miles an hour if it's safe. My engine speed is having to rise to getting on for 4,000. That's a real waste of time. It's causing unnecessary wear and tear on the engine as well. So let's choose a better gear. Let's choose fifth gear. And we're having to slow down for the traffic lights. Okay, now here's something for trainee driving instructors. Have a play with the gears in your car. See if you can get your gear changes really smooth while you change between, say, third and fourth, keeping the same road speed. So here I'm doing 50 miles an hour in fourth gear. Let's see if I can change, say, to third gear, put more pressure on the gas pedal to increase the revs so that I maintain a speed of 50 miles an hour. And back to fourth. We want our gear changes to try and be as smooth as possible. Now, by knowing how many revs on your engine you're going to need for certain speeds in certain gears, you can match your revs before you engage the clutch. So let me show you. I'm in fourth gear at the moment. I'm going to change to fifth gear, so I know that that's going to require lower engine revs. So instead of taking my foot off the gas completely, which is what we tend to teach learner drivers to do, let's just reduce the pressure on the gas pedal. We get a beautifully smooth gear change. Going the opposite way, changing down to fourth, I'll need more engine revs. So we increase the pressure on the gas pedal, whereas with learners we'd be teaching them to take the foot off the gas pedal completely, and I disagree with that. So I'm in third gear. Let's change to fourth gear. I will need fewer revs, so ease off the gas slightly. Beautifully smooth gear change. Let's change to fifth gear. I'll need fewer revs, so ease off the pressure on the gas pedal. Beautifully smooth gear change. So we're in fourth gear. I'm going to change to fifth. If I take my foot off the gas completely and let the engine revs drop all the way to zero, I've then got to pick the revs up again, and I get a little bit of a surge on the revs. Whereas if I go back to fourth gear, if I just reduce the pressure on the gas pedal instead of taking my foot off completely, I've now got the perfect engine revs for the next gear. Final thing I want to look at in this video is acceleration in different gears. Let's say we want to change our speed from 40, which we can do in 5th gear, and we want to increase it to 60 quite quickly. If I stay in 5th gear and put my foot to the floor, let's time how long it takes me to reach 60. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. We're about 10 seconds. I'm going to slow down to 40 again. I'm going to wait till I'm not going down a hill, just so we're not cheating as well. And this time I'm going to change down to 4th gear before I hit the gas. There's a car behind me. I'm just going to let them come past so I don't surprise them. So we're in 5th gear, doing 40 miles an hour. Let's change to 4th gear before we accelerate. So 4th gear, accelerate. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 7 seconds instead of 10 seconds by changing down a gear. And this is because lower gears give us stronger acceleration. We get more power in lower gears. But that's at the cost of increased fuel use. So I hope after watching this video you've got more of an idea on what the rev counter can be used for, and how road speed and engine speed in certain gears are linked together. We can also use that knowledge now to save fuel, drive in a more fuel efficient manner. So thanks for watching, and we'll see you on another video very soon.